Oh my gosh, I got it. Come on.
What?
Alright, dude, I got it.
Dude,
I figured it out.
What? It's like 4 in the morning.
Dude, just listen to me. I know how to fix Rogue Royale.
That's the big emergency. This couldn't wait until tomorrow.
No, dude, you don't get it. I see the strings of the universe right now, dude. Yeah, I have it. All I have to do is make an actual roguelike. I knew I should have tried Preston first. Back in 2021, I made a game called Rogue Royale. My goal was to create a genre mashup utilizing the popular Battle Royale game mode and the limitless possibilities of a roguelike. Let me take a step back. What is a roguelike? Well, it's a combination of things like randomly generated maps, turn-based gameplay, grid-based movement, and only one life per run. This combines to create a punishing game loop of failing and restarting in a brand new world every time. It encourages learning the underlying mechanics instead of just memorizing patterns. At the time, I decided to ignore all of that except for the random maps and the one life idea. I dreamed of combining the random generation of a roguelike with the shrinking arena of a Battle Royale game. I found a 7-day game development competition for developing roguelike games and entered into it. I spent the next few days working on an interact system and a weapon system. I had some interesting results, to say the least. I made a randomly generated map by making a few different areas, such as a lake, a temple, a hospital, then would swap the zones around to have different aesthetics like a winter wonderland or a scorching desert. I attempted to create some enemies by building the most complicated AI I had built to date. However, they refused to pathfind correctly. It was so bad I had to cut some of the areas out of the game just so it could function. And that was basically the entire game. I entered it into the competition and I think the results speak for themselves, unfortunately. As one of the judges put it, this is a decent twin-stick shooter jam game with nice sound and graphics. However, it is not even slightly a roguelike. That perfectly sums up my feelings on it too. It's a nice game in general, but fails to live up to the expectations of what I wanted it to be. And for years, I just sat on it. I have a rule where I don't go back and fix older games, since they are in some ways time capsules of my skills. But this one has really pushed the limits on it. I would love to do it now, but I don't have the time now. I have other projects I want to work on. But I definitely have the skills now. But even if I wanted to, I don't have a competition worth submitting it to. Well, it's not like the theme is going to line up with my idea. Oh boy, we're doing this, aren't we? How much of the video is left? That's what I was afraid of. Alright, let's get going.
I got it.
I started by trashing the old game since nothing was salvageable. And that's how I fixed it. Like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one. Okay, fine. This isn't really a fix as much as it is a new project with the same theme. Most of my old code was heinously bad, and it would take more time to fix instead of just rewriting it. Some of the art I kept as a nod to the original project, though. I began the project by setting up a template I had made some time ago. My idea for this new version of the game was to lean in harder to the roguelike side of things. So I made a turn-based movement system for the player. It looked nice, but had a habit of being stuck in walls. After playing around and adding a satisfying bump animation, I turned my little test area into the starting area of the game, or the hub. I created a simulator machine to take the player into the actual Battle Royale section of the game. I decided not to mess around with the random generation yet, and instead made a fixed island for the player to fight on. I tried to get the enemies spawning in correctly with some varying results. I literally got them to spawn in walls at one point. Not the ground, in the walls. I knew I had it working, but just backwards. So I deleted a single not keyword and it just started working properly. And I think that really does sum up the magic of programming. I got a basic item in the game and made it so the player could pick it up. Next, I added armor items to give the player more health, the helmet absorbs critical or headshot damage, and the armor takes normal damage before the player does. Roguelikes are all about building a character and seeing how far you can get on a run. So I added in cards to boost stats and alter gameplay some. For balancing reasons, I made it so you could only hold 3 at once. Then I added in a melee weapon, which was a knife. Gave it to the player by default. I gave the player the ability to attack enemies and deal damage by walking into them. Then I added in ammo and a pistol as well as a method of attack for the player. I gave the player options of where to spawn in the world. Then I made it so the lava could advance across the arena and deal damage to the player and enemies. I was behind schedule, so I pulled an all-nighter, literally up until 4 AM, setting up pathfinding and getting the enemies to work properly. The enemy AI ended up being over 1,000 lines of code long. I gave them priorities for finding loot, attacking others, and trying not to die, among other things. At this point, the game was technically viable as it had its core loop set up. With only 7 minutes left, I submitted it as an alpha version to the Made with Defold game jam. With the main time crunch now gone, my progress slowed down a bit. I talked about this some in my previous video, but in the spring and summer it's hard to work since it's just so beautiful outside. The game was not in a good state though. It was a broken mess and I was far from happy with it. So, I got back to work.
Back to work!
I was having a bug with the enemies where they would just stand in lava rather than leave and would just burn to death. This was frustrating, so I made a little test level to figure out what was going on. After around an hour, I discovered I had once again missed a single not keyword in my code. After fixing it, the enemies worked way better, but would still run into the lava for items they wanted. There was an issue where a player would get shot from an enemy off screen, and it always felt really unfair, so I tried to pull the camera back to see more of the map. I ended up pulling it all the way back so the player could just see everything. It's a very cool effect, and you can see all the enemies running around and fighting each other. It's mesmerizing in a certain way. I liked it so much I added in a nice intro animation to the level to show it off. I found an issue where enemies would sometimes overlap on the same tile as each other. This wouldn't be an issue except for the fact they began working together as a team and could deal double damage to the player. So, to fix it, I made it so enemies overlapping just melee attack each other rather than moving around. I changed up how audio works to make sounds only play in the vicinity of the player. I could tell my computer was starting to struggle a bit when its UI kept messing up, so I decided to do some optimizations to my code. I added in a delay before enemies would take their turn. I'm not sure how big the performance benefit was, but it did feel a lot better to play. I wanted to alert the player when it was their turn without being too overbearing. I ended up adding a turn progress bar at the bottom of the screen. It doesn't look the best, but hey, it gets the job done. I got the results back from the competition. I had tied for 5th overall. It may only be out of 23 games, but hey, at least I got 10, whatever the C with a line through it currency is. What? Don't look at me, I'm a game designer. I only care about gold coins. Oh, I forgot about those. You know what? I'll just take the euros. The game felt like it was missing one very critical thing at this point to truly merge the Battle Royale and roguelike aspects of the game, and that was random map generation. In the past, I had played around with this a little bit, but it had never progressed super far. I started by making a prefab object to load in little pieces of the level I could make separately. I made in a little house to practice loading everything. With that working, I moved on to the world generation itself. I started by creating a border around the game area. Then, I wrote a horrific function to calculate the amount of free space. The map generation wasn't working exactly right, so I added in some number tiles to see what was up. Turns out I had 2 variables backwards. After I fixed it, it worked fine. This is the most painful part of programming, when one little mistake like that just ruins everything. I made a final area in the game to make sure that the final zone wouldn't be inside of a rock or something. I began to spawn other areas and then link them to the main zone. After that, I coded it so every possible space would be filled with a building. That led to the issue of what to do with the remaining spaces. I decided for now just to randomly fill them in with other tiles. The result was actually fairly mesmerizing. There is something captivating about watching the computer generate a world. I can't put my finger on it, but it is fascinating. Next, I cleared the paths and replaced them with the path nodes. It went fairly well. I did have a slight mix-up where I used west instead of east, but otherwise it went well.
Oh, east? I thought you said west.
I added randomly spawning nodes along the edges of the map so additional loot could be sprinkled about. Then, I added a layer of detail to the map. Grass, trees, cactuses, whatever I needed to really flesh out the game world. I noticed that the buildings were spawning upside down. I realized I was loading and spawning them in 2 different ways. I fixed that, but then had the spark of an idea to intentionally load in the buildings in different ways to create a greater variety. A few types of flip later, as well as a rotation variable, and now the buildings can face any direction. I added some code to randomly change brick color in the buildings to make the map more visually distinct. This greatly increased the variety that is possible. I began to make other environments as a basis for the levels. I spent some time making water smooth around the edges with a very ugly function, but one that does indeed work. I began to create a variety of buildings for the player to explore and do combat around. With that, the world generation was basically complete. Is it over-engineered? Most certainly. Does it work? It's debatable. But is it mine? Absolutely. I added in a seed number to help generate different maps. If you'd rather play a test map from the start of the video, you can use the seed name test. I also have a few custom hidden levels written around for you to find too. At this point, the game was really fun. It was missing a replayability element, so I added in coins for winning a round. These coins can be used at tables. For example, the loot upgrade table increases the amount of loot that can spawn on the map. I made a few other tables to let the player upgrade perks and pick a loadout of items to spawn in with. I liked the loadout table so much I repurposed it as a shop for the end of rounds. I was getting frustrated not knowing what the enemies were attacking with, so I added an animation for it. I went in and I added many new weapons. I made sure to include all of the classic weapons except for the bow, unfortunately. I also included many of the weapons from another game I had made called Back from the Brink. It really helped to fill out the arsenal and make the game feel complete. I added in a few additional armors like a spacesuit and a bulletproof tux. I added a spectator camera so the player could follow whoever defeated them and either root for or against them. I added in a few more types of perk card to further the build options the player can do. I took some time and rebalanced the full game since some of the weapons were completely overpowered while others barely did anything at all. And now, after 2 months, I finally got the final build of the game up. Let's see what my friends think.
I'll read the how to play. Welcome, agent, to the training simulator. With you being able to deploy you anywhere in the world. I feel like that's a typo.
That is a typo.
All right, I'm in. Oop. I disconnected it from his gun.
Why does it feel like the pistol does so much damage when they have it? Like that!
Because they can hit their shots. That's why.
They have aimbot. That's not fair.
Aha, yes, you fools. Battle each other to the doom. Oh, God. It's the like, shrinking battle bus.
Oh my gosh. The shotgun. No. Leave me alone. Please.
Oh. Ah, nuts. Dang. Death comes fast for you in this game.
Oh my gosh. They are out for blood, man.
Ah, no. Stay back. Ah. Ah. Oh, no. Oh, oh. Like a real Battle Royale, I'm just spending most of it running away.
You did it.
Wow, I'm amazed, honestly.
And that's it. It's the whole game.
Hey, I mean, it's a Battle Royale. It's exactly what it says on the tin.
It's at a point now where I have to. What is he hitting me with? No, please!
It's 1v1.
I know.
He's stuck on some geometry.
Okay, we have time. We have time now. Oh! I did! Let's go! That's the hardest game I think I've ever played. Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10.
It's very fast-paced, which I mean is a good thing, because it's clearly meant to be like, you just replay it over and over until you've actually won a game.
It's actually fun. It is. That's super fast-paced, but I like it. There's definitely strategy to it.
Ooh, already a much more stylish main menu. Crowd control, I like that. Uzi. Ooh, you can get outfits. Okay, that's dope. I need a key. Already a lot more to do in this. Oh, okay. It's like turn-based. Okay.
That is so cool, actually. Where are you dropping? Where are we dropping, boys? That is so cool. Okay.
Ooh, beachy. Oh, this might be curtains. Oh God, he's trying to cut me off. All right, Uzi. Ooh, Uzi with the clutch.
Oh, okay. Check myself. No. I don't have any ammo, though. Let's go!
Oh, how's that guy already have a gun?
Well, because they're on the next round too.
Oh, that makes sense. Just want to get that key. Ooh, this guy's got a lot of armor on. Come on, win! Dang. But do I keep my key? I do. Or do that one. Ooh.
Alright, this is about to be a massacre.
I would just suggest running.
Alright, yeah, get me out. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I thought I did. I don't want to do it anymore.
No, I'm just gonna slip on by. Discretion is the better part of valor.
Okay, I think I lose. Yeah. That I got a little too greedy with staying in that one fight.
Yeah.
we just.
I like it. I admittedly, when I saw it was turn-based, I was a little like, huh, I wonder how that's gonna work, a turn-based, like, kind of battle royale thing. But as I've played it, I think I like it. And I definitely think, like I said, I think this is definitely a huge step up from the first one.
I really like this. The first one I actually liked too because it was more of a fast pace, but this one is completely different, but it plays way better, I think. And you can sit there and you can actually brainstorm out the right moves and everything. There's a lot of game plan to it that I didn't see right away.
That's the story of Rogue Royale Reloaded. In hindsight, I don't think the original Rogue Royale is as bad as I thought. While it wasn't what I wanted it to be, it was still a solid game unto itself. I think I was hard on it simply because I had a different vision for it in my head. Did I really need to spend 2 months rebuilding it from the ground up? No, probably not. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about being human. We can look at something we're not satisfied with, imagine something better, then work to make that vision a reality. I was able to turn my game into an experience unlike any other I've seen or played recently, something truly unique in my eyes, and something I'm proud of. That being said, the game is still far from perfect, and it still has many glitches in it. There's still tons I could add to it as well. New weapons, armors, perks, levels. I did throw in some secrets for you all to find, but I'll let you discover those for yourself. If you'd like to play the game, the link to both the classic and the new version of the game are available in the description below. I'd love to hear what you think is better. If you like this project, check out my previous video where I made a game where you level down. Or, if you want something a bit different, check out a speedrunning game I made called Death %. I'm not sure what my next video is, I have a few ideas, so subscribe for whenever that comes out. Thank you all for watching, and God bless.